Hey everybody, how's it going? We'll see how Goblin sounds with my own IRs. So Goblin, if you don't know, is an amp sim plugin from Aurora DSP. It's based on a 5153 EVH amp. Goblin is an all-in-one plugin, really. You've got a boosted high gain sound with a decent EQ, and it comes with a couple of different IRs, nasty and rude, which I don't really know what they are, probably some sort of V30 type of thing. But I've got those off at the moment, and I'm using NAD to load in my own impulse response packs. I'm using the Psycho pack on this side and the Barefoot pack on this side. So I'm just going to play some riffs and see how it sounds. I'm currently on Psycho 4. This is a Celestion 7080 speaker. It's one of their cheaper speakers, but it's still like sort of 80 quid, 100 quid, you know, it's still a decent speaker. It very much sounds like a T75 mixed with like a greenback. It's a very sort of old school sound. And this particular IR, Psycho 4, was captured with a Sennheiser E935, so it's a very tight sound, a very detailed sound. And if I go over to Res Barefoot 1, it's a V30, and you'll hear a very big difference. We'll just go back. So we're talking sort of 80s, 90s type tones, as opposed to sort of noughties and more contemporary tones with the Barefoot pack. So I'm just going to play some riffs, tweak a bit. The IRs you'll see me using for mixes a lot, if I try a new amp sim, will be Res Barefoot 1 or Barefoot 7. They're just good all-round sounding IRs. One was captured with a B906, Behringer mic, a dynamic mic, very nice sounding mic. And 7 was captured with my Marantz NPM 1000, which is just a good all-round condenser mic. Sounds a lot like a Rode NT1A. 1 and 7 are very full sounding. There's plenty of low end, there's plenty of detail in the mids, and a good top end as well. So it's really good for mixes. And when I do mixes, I usually whack on an EQ at the end. It looks something like this. So without the post EQ, with the EQ, I mean, you've got, you know, a high pass to 120. This is, you know, nothing out of the ordinary, really. Something I've been doing a long time is cutting at 300, a nice wide cut, just a few dB. Cutting out some 4K. Sometimes this will change, you know, I'll move it around, I'll reduce it, I'll increase it, it depends. And then usually low pass to about 8K, maybe 9K. And that's for if I'm using it in a mix. Just keeps the guitar in the mid-range, you know, where it should be, really, in a mix. You know, you don't want it interfering with the bass guitar and the kick drum. You don't want it interfering with the cymbals and keys, vocals, whatever, you know, you've got going on. And I do like quite a scooped tone. You know, I always reduce mids. I mean, it really depends, but I do like a sound that's quite scooped. And a really good IR, if you like scooped thrash tones or scooped death metal tones, is definitely Psycho X. So if you got Res Barefoot 1, very modern V30 type of deal. And if I go to Psycho X, you'll hear a big difference. like that sound for an old death metal sound or, you know, an old thrash sound, Psycho X is definitely the way to go. If you haven't got these IRs, guys, download them from the links below. Thing is with Goblin, and you know, the way the amp is voiced and the pick attack and the body, the actual character of the distortion is just very modern. So it can be quite hard to get it sounding old school. If you want something to sound a bit more old school, definitely use like a modded Marshall type sound, or maybe like Vadim Taranov's MK4. That is an amazing amp sim to use, and it's free. It's Windows only though. So for this tone right now, I've got it sounding pretty much the way I want it. I mean, if I go on like Psycho X, I'm in drop A sharp. It's never going to sound very old school if I'm in drop A sharp. Old school death metal sound, Psycho X is the way to go. I used that on my Habitual Slaughter EP. You know, I really like the tones I got on that EP. If you want to check that out, it's linked below. And Res Barefoot Pack, I've not actually used it on any EPs or anything yet, but it's just my absolute go-to for doing demos of the amp sims. I always start with a Barefoot Pack, just so I can get my bearings and know what I'm actually hearing from an amp sim. It is a little bit spiky in the mids, but I do really like that. If you want a smoother tone, I definitely recommend loading up my Red Giant Pack, which I'll do right now. Right, okay, the Red Giant Pack is a Celestion Redback speaker, which is a fairly new speaker. It's like it's a high wattage speaker, and it has a smoother tone to it. And the way I've captured the Red Giant IR Pack is I go from a few different mics, and 1 to 3, 4 to 6, and 7 to 8 are just sort of bright to dark. So if I'll show you those really quick with Goblin. That's quite an attacky, sharp tone. Getting a bit darker. Getting very dark. But I like blending with Red Giant 6. And Red Giant 6 is an SM48. It's quite smooth. I wouldn't say it's really dark, but it is a very smooth sounding IR. So if you're finding like Res Barefoot 1, if you're finding that a bit too bright, definitely blend between the two. It really works very well for a modern tone, and I've used Res Barefoot 1 and 6 on one side, and then I've done, say, Res Barefoot 7 and Red Giant 8 on another side. They're very big sounding IRs, but obviously with the EQ on there. You know, great IRs for any kind of metal. And then blending between the two, you know, everything's in phase with all the IR packs, even Psycho, it's all in phase. So just, you know, download them and have a go. What I've got going on with the chain here, guys, I've just got G-Tune, just to stay in tune. It's a really good tuner, it's my favourite one, actually. Effector Silencer from Kawasa, a great free noise gate. Super fast. Yeah, it's working pretty hard. Just a great gate, very simple to use. And that's about it, guys. I just wanted to try Goblin with my IRs, and it's sounding pretty cool. One thing to note, I'm using my Harley Benton Amarok. It's got EMGs, the retroactive Hot 70 pickups. So it's giving these plugins a lot of kick. If you're using something a bit lighter in output, Goblin probably won't be as pushy and it probably won't be as tight. So that's about it, guys. I just wanted to check it out with my IRs and, you know, take you along for the ride. And it's sounding pretty sweet. I do like these tones. And it's a very simple chain, you know, there's not a whole lot farting around going on. Cheers, guys. Alright guys, since you've made it this far, I'm gonna plug some of my stuff. This is my side project,
Habitual Slaughter.
and this is the new EP, Feast for the Beast. Links down below if you want to hear some
Brutal, old school death metal.
and there are links down there to my other music as well, so go over listen. Thanks for watching guys, I really appreciate it, and subscribe if you want to see more metal related stuff. I'll be back sometime with a video on something else, so until then, ciao.